Hey Siri, turn on bedside lamp.
Okay. So
Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. If this is your first time here, my name is Akshay. I'm your friendly neighborhood geek. As you already read from the title of the video, we're going to be talking about my favorite tech purchase of last year of 2020. Now last year I bought a bunch of different gadgets online, or toys as I like to call them, from the Series 6 Apple Watch to the HomePod Mini to a couple of dongles and a whole lot more that's too far off in the oblivion right now for me to remember. But when I was brainstorming, when I was thinking about this particular topic, there was always this one product. This one particular product that kept making its way back to me. It's a product, it's a gadget that I use for less than 5 seconds every day maybe, that has had almost the same amount of impact on my day-to-day life as the Apple Watch, if not more. And that product is it's a smart scale. And it's exactly as exciting as it sounds. It's a scale but smart. It's the nerdiest of things and I absolutely love mine. Now you might ask me, Akshay, why do you even need a smart scale to begin with? And I can answer your question in 2 words: automatic data. Look, I was never someone who was ever too excited to get on the scale to begin with. Fitness or healthy eating was never something that I was ever excited about or I had a knack for. But last year, a couple of months into the pandemic, when everyone was in lockdown, I started experimenting with IF. Now IF stands for intermittent fasting, and I've got a more detailed video about that plan for the future, but long story short, IF made me very curious about what all was happening inside my body, if at all. And thanks to my laziness, I ended up getting a smart scale because I thought to myself, who's going to be entering all of this data manually? It's just better if it automatically sync. And ipso facto, I opened up Safari, started researching the different models available, feature sets, differences between them, the whole shebang as a geek would do. Now, when I started exploring the market, I wasn't really looking for something really expensive. I just wanted the cheapest smart scale available that can sync with HealthKit so that all the different applications can read that data and correlate information accordingly. Now, the product that I zeroed down at that time was the Xiaomi Mi Health Body Composition Scale, whatever it's called. Now, the shops were closed and I couldn't find it locally, and it wasn't and still isn't available on Xiaomi India's website, which was a bummer. Now, after a few weeks and a million refreshes on that page later, I decided to look elsewhere. Read, researched, compared, and this time around, I zeroed down on the EuFy Smart Scale. Now, EuFy is part of Anker, one of America's most renowned consumer electronics company that's mostly known for its cables and power banks. But regardless, I tapped the add to cart button and a few Earth rotations later, I got mine in mail. Look, it doesn't really matter which smart scale you end up getting. This is not a review for the EuFy scale, but rather a video about how owning a smart scale in general has drastically improved and impacted my day-to-day life. EuFy P1, that's the model that I own, comes with an iOS or Android application, and when you're setting up the scale for the very first time, you can connect the smart scale to either of its apps, create an account, give it the required permissions to sync, and you're pretty much done. Now, the scale isn't a very popular progress tracking method amongst the many fitness groups and subreddits I'm a part of. Now, smart scales work on something called the BIA, Bioelectrical Impedance Analysis, which in a nutshell is sending one small electric current through your foot, through the body, and through the other one, and taking all of that information along with your other attributes like your gender, your height, your age. A smart scale will tell you what your weight is, what your body fat percentage is, what your bone mass is, your visceral fat, and so on and so forth. Now, while BIA might be able to give you an estimated idea of where you might be in your fitness journey, the numbers that it gives you do have an error rate and are not going to be as accurate as something like a proper medical scan that you have to go into a clinic for. Now, here's a pro tip: if you're wanting to get as accurate readings as possible and not have your weight chart constantly go up and down, fix a time for weighing yourself. What I found to work the best for me is to do it first thing in the morning after freshening up. The frequency of that is something that you can decide for yourself depending upon whatever works best for you, whether that's weekly, every day, or bi-weekly, etc. For me personally, I try to do it every day. Somehow it's made me a little more conscious about not overeating or eating processed junk food because I know it's gonna make the graph go up the next day when I get up on the scale. Now I know losing weight or losing fat isn't going to be one linear chart and your weight is gonna go up and down. However, having that thought somewhere in the back of my head helps me just in refraining myself to stick to my diet and my fitness goals. Not to mention, when you see the graph and the numbers going down, that feeling is fantastic. Now, the real advantage to all this data collection comes at a later stage when you have a good amount of data to go back and look at, whether that's weeks or months down the line, to study and analyze those readings. Now, that could be how moving from one kind of diet to another affected your weight and your body fat percentage, or how changing your workout split caused a spike in your muscle mass. That is where the real advantage lies. Now, I like to use the scale as a tool, similar to how I use my Apple Watch, just as a way to keep my consistency and heating habits in check. It doesn't take a lot of time, I get cool data out of it that I can look back and analyze at a later point in time. It's a win-win situation. And if anything in the past 5 or 6 minutes seems like something that you can get any real advantage from, I highly recommend getting yourself one. The price doesn't really matter, the brands doesn't really matter. You can check the versions available to you in your region, whether that's from Xiaomi, Fitbit, Withings, Nokia, or even from EuFy. Compare them and get the one that seems the most useful to you. I promise you will not regret it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and family. You know, the regular drill. That's it. I'll see you in the next one. Live long and prosper.